Blessed ones, peace and praise. Thank you for joining me tonight for another episode. I am thankful, and I want to thank my brother, my friend, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for y'all. I'm so grateful that y'all had taken the time to spend with me a little bit. We've had a long journey. We've had a lot of different transitions, a lot of rebrands. So thank you for my loyal listeners, my new listeners, and just if you're just a casual listener, if you're just listening at home, listening as background noise, listening on the road, just thank you. I can't thank y'all enough. I wish there was something that I can do to show my appreciation for y'all. And I do this sometimes. I dedicate my episodes to my listeners every now and then. So this dedication is for you all. I really just want to talk to y'all tonight. I want to share with y'all something because again, we are family and I'm always open and honest with my family. Like I mentioned before, I know sometimes it can be hard to open up, to be vulnerable, especially in a public space as this. But difficult is not impossible. So I've been dealing with some things emotionally, financially, and spiritually. I mean, y'all all know about my condition, and I think it was just like it's just like getting my blood pressure checked. When I'm getting it checked, depending on what time, depending on when I'm there, it's usually high. So because I got it checked at a certain time, feeling a certain way, my testosterone was low. But what I want to share with y'all though is I'm gonna make a short story long. So if y'all don't have at least an hour, don't even bother listening. I'm not saying I'm gonna talk for an hour, but I'm gonna try to, give it an hour. Give this an hour because I know earlier I was a little out of it. I was, out of my mind thinking about stuff, talking to myself as if I was, recording. I have made it my business to make time to practice my communication skills. I have made it my business to try to develop my communication skills. And sometimes I feel like it's a miss. But I was thinking about something, and I mean, y'all know if y'all follow me on Facebook, Instagram, whatever, y'all know that I like everything's a factor to me. The way that I explain things, the way that I talk. If you ever had communication with me, sorry, I was reading a tweet, but y'all know that I have the habit of interrupting. Have the habit of interrupting people, and that's not my intentions. I do have a flaw though when I am talking to people and they may say something that's just completely bogus to me. I will abruptly, be like, oh no, 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 I got to correct that because one thing about me is I don't like to be put in this light that is not actual factual. I didn't grow up straight up listening to hip hop. No, I was a church kid, first family. I was just a fan of Michael Jackson, right? My introduction to hip hop was I had no business listening to it. Like I was watching House Party. I remember Beat Street a little bit, but I was watching House Party and that was my introduction to hip hop. And LL Cool J. Um, but again, I was an R&B guy. Michael Jackson, Boys II Men, Blackstreet, All for One. I grew up watching Martin, Moesha, Smart Guy, Boy Meets World, all these things. It's interesting sometimes how life comes full circle. Life highlights certain memories to where you have to reflect and think about what's important. I I've come a long way for being the man that I used to be to the man that I want to be to the man that I am. Because, like I said, when you are, and I said this before, when you are part, when people like when you go to church, faithfully go to church, and you're young, and you're gonna rebel because you're a child. And I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. I don't really know where it comes from. I want to say that it could just be a spirit that the devil put that the devil like because again the devil don't care about your children. He comes after the children a lot of times. I don't want to. I don't want to give. I don't want to give credit to the devil for my rebellion because like I said, my parents raised me right. I mean, I didn't get in a lot of trouble as a child, but I had a mouth on me. But there's certain things that I think about now, being 38, where I think I've dealt with that most of my life. Like when I strongly feel believe in something and I strongly believe like, oh, this isn't like I don't want to do this, it takes me a while to get out of it. Like again, I didn't grow up watching hip hop. Like when I was younger, I mean, I know who Beavis and Butthead was, but I didn't like I wasn't allowed to look at Beavis and Butthead at nighttime. You know, I was more of a Nickelodeon, Disney type of guy. You know, in the '90s. You know, looking at Rugrats, Doug. You know, looking at certain movies and shows. Are You Afraid of the Dark? I mean, that's Nickelodeon, but you know, I watched Famous Jet Jackson. You know, I watched Fox cartoon on Saturday. You know, WMC Masters, X Men, the animated series, Batman. So I mean, I had a real childhood, and like I said, even with me and my attachment to rap now and hip hop now, like I started listening to rap like that in maybe '99. Like Fab, like I said, I knew Kid and Play, I knew Will Smith, I knew L Cool J, but I didn't know L Cool J as a rapper. The only reason why I knew him as a rapper because his name was LL Cool J. And but you know Will Smith, same thing like the same thing like looking at watching Moesha, or watching Moesha and listening to Brandy because her career, her music career and singing career popped off at the same time. And it's kind of like even the same thing with Marcus Houston. Like, you know, I remember Marcus Houston being called Batman when he was an immature. And IMX, you know, I didn't know. Well, I knew him from Sister Sister, but I knew him from House Party 3. And, you know, when we're, growing up, going to church. I mean, my parents worked, and of course, my parents separated like when I was 10. So, I mean, after a while, I was able to have a little bit more leeway in certain things that I watched. But when I was watching, when I started listening to hip hop heavy, like I remember it was Fabulous, and then I think my first hip hop album I bought, and I want to say I think I might have got it from a friend of mine who I don't talk to now, was Nas's Godson album. And I think the first hip hop album I bought might have been Kanye West College Dropout. The one that I bought now, like I said, I listened to hip hop before. Like I said Fabulous was like was my first favorite rapper. And I'm not gonna go like getting the whole detail of that, but it goes back into correlation where, I'm very critical of myself, and I had to think about certain things where us as a people can be rebellious. And I might have mentioned this before. You know, I feel like my brain. My Man, I feel like I feel like my brain is growing. But y'all please bear with me, yo. I feel like I'm struggling here. But you know, we're we're so rebellious, and this is to my black people. We're so rebellious as a community. We don't like being told what to do as it is. So even so, regardless of who the president is, regardless of how you feel about the president or the things that he do, regardless of that, I sit here and think, I'm like, all right, this is political. How things are in society can be political, right? But think about the things that we consume for entertainment purposes. I understand that the entertainment purposes doesn't really determine, you know, or affect how we raise our children or move in the world, but we got to remember when we consume things, we have to always watch what we consume. So, as I think about it more and more, I think I do get offended when there's judgment on the church. I haven't experienced church hurt, even though I know how hypocritical the church members can be. But because that is my community, because regardless of whether I always went to church, even as I got older, I didn't go. Like I'm not currently going right now, and I go online try to catch things. Sometimes I read my word and stuff, but I'm still a part of that community. But I get I get offended by certain things when, particularly about the church hurt, because I know where that stems from. You do something that's against God's word or law, and you have the church people who don't know you from the can of paint, and they don't give you the grace. They just judge you. They just say all these things about you that might not even be true because they don't know you. But again, you know, like I said last episode, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So if they see you, like we can only go by what we know or what's presented to us, and it's not always the right thing. But that's how we judge people. Like we're always judging people, and it's not just church people, but it's the world. The world is judgmental, and I want to say something to y'all blessed ones. Is like we have like be mindful on how you treat people. Be mindful on how you think about a person, because even if you don't say it out loud, how you think about a person, God can hear you. Always carry yourself as if the Lord is watching, because the Lord is watching. I believe that wholeheartedly. I believe that our thoughts, our actions, our characters, it's all development. And by the grace of God, we have His grace for us to change, to repent, to forgive, to have grace, to have mercy, to love one another, not to criticize or hate one another. And the thing is, even like when I was talking, like I said, me having access to certain things as a children, whether it's television, music, church, whatever, like anything you have access to, you can have access to it now. So even like when I think about my son, I love my son so much, and I think about how a lot of the things that he does now, I've done. So maybe I'm conflicted a little bit, because it's like I know why he's doing that. Now again, my parents didn't have cell phones or none of that stuff growing up. So the way that I behaved, could have been from, television or outside influences, but because I wanted to be a parent, I might raise my son a little differently. I don't make a big deal. I don't make it a big deal what certain things that he do because, like I said, my son, he's a very sweet young boy. He's a good kid. There might be some things that he needs to work on, and that's on me. Whatever he does at his mother's house, she has to do that. But I also have to keep in mind that because I'm not in the house, and I had to think about this for a while. Like if I'm not in the like me not being in the house can affect his behavior as well because it's like women don't provide the structure for boys that needs to be set. They have done it, but again, it's not ideal. It's not something that a woman can do when you're a woman with boys in the home. Because my ex-wife has 3 boys, and my son's the oldest boy there. His both his sisters are in another state with their fathers and family, But when my son's growing, and I had this conversation with her before, where it's like I want to get him, when next school year when he turns 10, like I'll take full responsibility for him because I remember when I was growing up. Like I said, when my parents were together, my dad was in the military, so he was out to sea a lot. But like, we had like meetings in the house. We had talks. We got disciplined and everything. But when they separated, my mom wasn't. My mom was working and stuff, and there'd be times where I'll get disciplined. But I just realized this. I said, man, I wasn't getting disciplined as much after my parents separated. I had a little bit more freedom and leeway. I used to talk back to my mom, and sometimes I still do now. God please forgive me. I just talk back to my mom. I don't think I ever talked back to my dad, and I don't even know what that is, to be honest. I don't know what that is. I don't know if it was because I might have had some resentment or felt the way personally inside of me that I didn't realize I had. Because again, I was a kid, teenager and stuff, but it's still like, man, my son, he's very. I mean, he's vocal to me. I mean, I always ask him, how he's feeling, what's going on, how school, what is anything that he like. I always leave the floor for my son to, express himself to me. Lately, it, he hasn't, but he's always been, a good kid. So I mean, he can sometimes have some restraint where like he'll listen, but sometimes you gotta repeat yourself. Like he doesn't just do it. But that's how children are. Because again, when you're a child, you don't want to do certain things. You kind of just want to entertain yourself. I remember my son was saying something like, "Say I'm bored. I need," and I was like, "Sometimes you're gonna have to be bored." So it's certain things that I'm still trying to, teach him because he's getting older. And him being the older brother, he has to be a better example. But there's only but so much you can do when you're not in the house. But again, you know, that's something that I always reflect on. And I love my son. I miss him every day. I really just want to be here. I really just want to be alive long enough to see him grow into a man. Like I said, I've been dealing with some things where oftentimes I do get nervous and afraid because, again, like I said, I've had struggles with, food and, spending habits where it's like, man, I can't even, put myself in a position to take full care of him, let alone myself. But it's just certain things. And I'm like, man, I have to, like, what's going on with me, Lord? Lord, give me strength, give me the discipline. Like, man, sometimes I don't even be hungry. It's just something to do. Like, eating has become something to do. My book, Soul from the Red Biz, available on Amazon for a digital download. Purchase $5. Y'all can check that out. It talks about, the comparison between relationships and food. But there's certain things that I try not to pass down to my son. Because even later in life, I was an adult when I learned that certain habits that we have are also in our DNA and genetics. Like my brother, I know he has said he does something his dad does. This is according to his mom, my brother from another. He has said he does something that his dad do as well. And, his dad wasn't even really as active in his life like that. But it's just like, it's interesting, how much, because again, when you plant a seed, and I was talking about this on a previous episode about planting seeds. Like when you plant a seed, planting seeds creates a replica of something, a replica of what you're planting. And I will give you an example. We were talking about hip hop, talking about Beavis and Butthead, man, baby. Sex. I'm gonna have that discussion when speaking from a man's point of view, me from my point of view, me planting a seed, like if I like when I'm like when I like we know how babies come out, so I'm not even gonna get into that, but think about, I'm a man and I'm telling you things. I'm telling a woman things, telling her, not feeding her lies, but telling her things she can feel like it's a lie, not. But if I'm telling her things like I care about you, I love you, I want to be with you, and everything, I'm planting seeds, right? You're planting seeds now, as like me being the person who's doing it. I have to, like, I want you to believe me because I'm telling the truth. But in the woman's mind, most women, they have to see it because saying it isn't doesn't mean anything. And when you're somebody who's telling the truth, you understand that and know that, so you have to act on it. You have to be able to deliver the thing that you're saying. So, whatever your intentions are, or whatever they're not, again, God's watching. So, when you tell women certain things, you're feeding them something good or bad. It's now in her mind, and whether she believes you or not, whether she subscribes to what you're telling her or not, it's in her mind. So let's say it's received, she's gonna hold it to that. And when you deliver it, so being that you have told a woman you love her, you care about her, you want to take care of her, you want to do these things for her, and you actually do it, it then creates everything in her mind that's okay, what represents this? Like for me, and I said this before, for me, in the eyes of God, sex should be enjoyed. It should be intimate, but it shouldn't be casual. I remember, when that's like when you go to the doctor and they ask you, are you sexually active? What is the time frame as far as being sexually active? Like, say if you haven't had sex in a month, are you se- are you sexually active? Say if you haven't had sex, maybe let's say a week. Yeah, I'm sexually active. I haven't had in 2 weeks, but I'm still saying that. So it's certain things, certain seeds are planted to allow things to grow. But like, say you have to move on. You have to deliver it. So same thing like I said. What I'm saying with my son is whether in my own mind or my spirit and stuff. So my son develops his own personality. He develops his own emotions and feelings and does his decisions. That comes from the seed that was planted from his parents, from the world. So blessed ones, when I'm saying this, I don't want to be talking down on anyone, but there's certain things that we consume intentionally and unintentionally, but we have to be careful of the seeds we plant because it's in the universe. I was listening to Mecca today. He was on live on YouTube and he was talking about, but the DJ Vlad, trolling about the Rock Nation and being paid off by this, and it was like somebody had said, "Oh, so Vlad trolled one time. Now he's not credible," and I know he's saying like he said the same thing I'm saying, but yes, like when you lie once, one lie can affect 99 truths. So with me, I'm aware of the things that I've done in my life, like all the good I've done for people in my life. The one bad thing that I've done that was just, it was the one thing that God says not to do, or that approves. Okay, yeah, I was unfaithful to my ex-wife, and now, we're both living apart. My son is being raised by two active parents in two different households. So, unbeknownst to him, as far as my transgressions or whatever, I have to live with that for the rest of my life. But it's okay because I have a good relationship with my son. But it's harder now because I'm not there. But of course, difficult is not impossible. But that doesn't take away the fact from being, hey, you have to be the best that you know that you can be. A lot of time when things are hard, it doesn't mean that you still can't do what you can do. So I encourage wisdom, good decisions, positivity, productivity, and prosperity because your word is all you have. Me as a man, my word is all I have because if I don't keep my word, go back into the action thing. If I don't keep my word, I will not have the respect. I won't have the integrity. I won't receive the love. I won't receive the favor from God. It's like so I have to keep my word. So it's like certain things like I'm not just gonna be saying BS. If you don't believe me, that's on you. But for me, I'm always on the right side of be honest. You can change. You can. We can change our minds. Life happens, but the thing is, keep your word. When you plant seeds, they're either gonna grow from the dirt or grow out of water. Like there's concrete roses out here. So even in the roughest the the roughest streets, the softest beds, you're planting seeds. So if you're in the streets busting your gun, in the streets, selling drugs, if you're in the streets, just remember somebody's watching. God's watching you, the children's watching you. I'm not somebody who says, product of our environment or crabs in a barrel, but what we consume matters. It will even make you or break you. And a lot of times that just depends on the mindset. I have more faith in people than most people may have. Well, I have more faith in people than I don't have faith in people. And I know that could probably be my downfall, but because I know the Lord and I love the Lord and I try to stay obedient to Him, it gets hard. Like I said, I fall all the time. It's an everyday struggle for me. I understand why now, but but again, I want to make the best decision possible. I don't want to just be out here casually having sex. I don't want to be out here just doing things because it's fun or entertaining. Like I want to make a positive impact in my son's life and other people's life because somebody's always watching. Because when I die, there's gonna be nothing left for me. But I want to be remembered for the good things, the positive things. Blair was a man of faith. He had a hard life, but a good life. You can have a good life and it still be hard because, again, God doesn't make things doesn't make things unhard. Like I said, difficult isn't impossible. Just because you have a relationship with God don't mean things are going to be easy, but it's going to make things possible. When you have God in your life and you know God and you love God and you trust, when you really trust His word, you can sin less. There's always going to be challenges, but I take so much pride because this world is so cold Like, people are committing suicide. People are killing other people. People are stealing, robbing. People are people are lost out here because I was one. I was someone who was lost. Mm. Oh, jeez. I'm having a brain. My head is hurting. My head been hurting. My neck been hurting. It's wild. But but let's be conscious of the seeds we plant. Let's be conscious on the decisions we make. Let's be conscious of the things we consume. We can have fun without doing foul things. I'm not going to tell anybody what to do as far as, okay, if you want to drink, if you want to go out in the club, if you want to sleep with people, that's your prerogative. But remember, what we consume matters. Excuse me. So I think about, when I think about my son, I think about the choice that I made because, again, my son was born out of wedlock. My ex wife was still legally married. You know, even though it was love for me, I was out of order. So, when I got married, God corrected it. And that's the thing, when you have God in your life, when you decide to live for Christ, decide to live for the Lord. Because like I said, I grew up in the church. I had a relationship with God from the beginning, but you know, I stepped away from living for Him. I was living for myself. I was doing what I wanted to do, and even time after that, I started doing what I wanted to do. But like I said, I'm done. I want to be done. I want to be done living for myself. I don't want to live for nobody else but Christ. So if the music doesn't align with God, if the movies doesn't align with God, if the people doesn't align with God, if the job doesn't align with God, like we have to work, man who works and man who eats, but it's like God has to be the center of my life. He has to be the center of all of our lives in order to reach the level that you're meant to be on. Don't allow, and I say this all the time, don't allow the celebrities who you see on television or out be the measuring stick. Because again, we don't know the type of life that they live. And again, it goes back again. I can tell you anything. Now, I'm telling the truth, but again, it's up to you. It's your prerogative. I know what's real in my life, and I'm just sharing, giving y'all and sharing y'all some information about my life Now, whoever doesn't believe it, that's on them. Like I'm just giving it to you. I'm giving y'all giving y'all information, and I think about it often because, like I said, I'm attracted to people. There's women who I've been interested in, has shown interest in, done things for that might feel differently or probably have skepticism. There's things that I've done for my friends, things I've done for my family that again might not have been the best decisions. There's jobs that I've had. There's certain things that I've did in my life that I wanted to do because it's like, oh, I wanted to do this. And again, I'm not saying, we have to be in the house all the time. I'm not saying we shouldn't go and enjoy our life. We should enjoy our life. We should enjoy the fruit of our labor. We should also give God the glory too. We have to acknowledge Him in everything. And I've said this before. You have to give every aspect of your life to God. The good, the bad, the difficult, the easy, the possible, the impossible. You have to give everything to Him because He can do all things. And when you're struggling, when you're suffering, do not be discouraged because again, He allowed it. If you're struggling or suffering, just remember it's for a reason. So I had to stop crying and stressing about my struggles and my suffering and just remember that it's temporary. It gets hard sometimes, yes, but difficult is not impossible. Difficult is not impossible. And I know that's my motto, and y'all have heard me say that before. Y'all done seen the posts, y'all done seen the videos, and it's real. It's like just because something's difficult doesn't mean that it's impossible. So it's like it might take me longer to get to the finish line. It might be harder for me to climb this mountain, but I will reach that finish line. I will get to the top of the mountain. So with everything that happened in my life, with all the things that I've consumed, whether like I said, with not being able to do certain things as a child, doing things growing up, like hip hop. And the reason why I brought up hip hop is because it's an influence. It has been an influence in my life for a long time. Like I said, I grew up listening to Michael Jackson and R&B and stuff, but I don't think that's like the R&B didn't really influence me. Like Michael Jackson was maybe my first hero. I loved Michael, but it wasn't until I started listening to hip hop and rap when I started coming into my own. Then, like when I like said when I was older, when I started understanding, started getting a little bit more conscious. It was hip hop. Hip hop was the music that I was listening to. So I see all these things going on in the industry, and people gonna have their opinion, have their thing, but it's like, man, hip hop gets a bad representation because of who's in the limelight, who we focus pay attention to, who's in the movies, who's on the commercials, who's on the shows, and that affects us. That affects our mind, even for myself, because as much as children are easily influenced, adults are also influenced as well. Because when you're an adult, you're stuck in your ways. So some of the things that you do that might not be the best thing, but you're enabled because the people around you, accepts it and they receive it. Like you get the respect. So yeah, and it's kind of interesting because, like I said, I didn't look at the video, but it was a clip with Clifton Powell. The good OG Clifton Powell. Y'all know him. He was in Menace to Society. Pinky from Friday after, well, next Friday. He played in a lot of movies. I love Clifton Powell. So he was talking about how, you know, hit like he's like 60 or whatever, 70, and he's just learning how to love right. This man's married, used to be married, had children, and I know there was another guy saying, he don't want to wait until he's in his 60s and 70s to, do the right thing. And it goes back into like these conversations need to be had early because money has become such a factor. It's almost like that's the most important thing that people care about. Money is important. Money is important. Money is important. And I know we've heard this before, but money isn't everything. Like I haven't had every single thing in life. I mean, I have nothing. I mean, I don't have nothing, but I have things that I've wanted and things that I still want. But I'm not moved by money because I'm wise enough to recognize and see what money does. When it comes to money, people don't have morals. So, like I said, for me in my life, and I want this for you too. Like, if you're listening, I want this for you too because, again, I'm about world peace. I'm about righteousness, betterment, improvement. Get your money. Work hard. Do what's best for you to you know get the money legally or however you can get it because it is important. Money is important, but don't be so motivated by money that you lose your principles, that you disregard your morals, and that you disregard God, God above all else. God needs to be acknowledged. And that's to anybody. But again, it only applies to who wants to receive it. But this is just what I wanted to get off. My mind. It was on my heart. I've been, I've been dealing with certain things that I'm like, man, I can't really shake. I'm such a sensitive person and have, man, what the heck? Mm, has have a lot of, I forget here. Have a lot of things that I want to do, but like I said, there's certain other things that I'm dealing with that I'm asking God to help me with, and I think only God can help me with it because again, nobody's nobody ever answers the phone for me, respond to my messages, so it's like I'm just gonna let God sort it out, and that's all we can do. You know, be mindful of what you consume. Be mindful of what you put out. So, with that said, blessed ones, Thank you for spending this time with me. I love y'all. I'm grateful for y'all. Thank God for y'all. God bless y'all. So stay safe. As always, stay positive, productive, and prosperous. This is Blair. I'm out of here.